stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright. So our first order of business is to swear in our newly elected board members. I'm going to go in the order that they are in the book. So I will start with Ms. Kimberly Allen. If you could please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kimberly Allen, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of board member
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Next, it's Ms. Kate Madigan. If you could repeat after me. I, Catherine Madigan,
I, Catherine Madigan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of board member
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Alright, if you could repeat after me. I, Christopher Joyce,
I, Christopher Joyce,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of board member
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Alright, next up, I would like to call for nominations for the position of Board of Education President.
I nominate Kate Madigan.
I'll second.
Alright. Alright, so first. Alright. Ms. Kate Madigan, are you gonna abstain or vote? Do you vote?
See if there's any other.
Oh yes, are there any others? I'm sorry. No. Alright. Then if there are no others, shall we vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're doing
Alright.
great.
Thanks. You can tell this is my first reorg meeting. Alright, Ms. Catherine Madigan?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Alright, and then Ms. Allen?
Yeah.
Alright. Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Ms. Digman?
Yes.
Ms. Folds?
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
Alright. Let me check my notes here.
You're gonna administer the oath.
Alright, so now I'm going to administer the oath to the Board of Education, newly elected president. If you could, please stand. Alright, I, Kate Madigan,
I, Kate Madigan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Board of Education President
the duties of Board of Education President
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Are you happy that?
So happy. Oops, I'm
Nope,
sorry,
that's the
I
wrong
just had
one.
you sign on the wrong one.
Oh,
That's okay, we'll cross it out.
okay, sorry. No, I'm sorry.
up, I would take oh, I'm sorry, that's right, I would like to hand you the gavel.
Do you wanna keep doing it?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
I think
I'm
I'm
very
very
sure.
I know, I think you did a great job, Danielle.
You did
I
a great
hope to
job.
never have to, yeah.
Until next July.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
I would take nominations for, vice president, please.
I would like to nominate Stephanie Kaiser as vice president.
Thank you. Second? Mrs. Folds? Any other nominations? Okay.
Mrs. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mrs. Folds,
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman,
Yes.
Mrs. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
and Mrs. Madigan.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Couple more times. If you could repeat after me. I, Stephanie Kaiser, do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Board of Education Vice President
the duties of Board of Education Vice President
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. All right.
Would you mind doing that?
Yes, I wasn't sure if you were gonna
No,
say
no, no,
something.
you're totally
I'll just do
fine.
this one from here.
Okay.
All right, if you could stand. I, Matthew Van Orman,
I, Matthew Van Orman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Superintendent of Schools
the duties of Superintendent of Schools
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Take that one because I already partially signed it. For Amanda. Thank you, Danielle.
I appreciate your grace.
Yeah, you're doing fine. Okay, so, we're gonna move on to appointments.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointments.
Thank you, Mrs. Dingman, in a second. Mrs. Kaiser? Or take the whole group all at once?
Sure.
Any questions about this group? Okay, when you're ready.
All right, Mrs. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce,
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman.
Yep.
Mrs. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Folds,
Yes.
and Mrs. Madigan.
Yes, thank you. Moving on,
Could I make a motion to approve the designations and authorizations?
yes, thank you. Could I have a second for that? Mrs. Folds? So this is gonna be 9 and 10.
Mhm.
There was a email this afternoon with some clarification on a couple of these, if everybody had a chance to look at that.
So the general fund deposit, I just wanna make sure that I'm understanding, so these are just the maximum amounts that we're approving to have in these accounts in general?
Yes.
And are we gonna change one of them at a later date? Is
So-
that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, the JP Chase Morgan one next year at this time, according to our conversations with our fiscal advisor team, because we would be bonding our capital project next year, we would exceed that number of 30 million. So we would be looking to put a higher value on that next year, because that's when we'll be paying for the capital project work.
Other questions? Anybody?
Mrs. Folds,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce,
Yes.
Mrs. Decker,
Yes.
and Mrs. Madigan.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the board committees. This is obviously not a vote, but if you could pull up the document that, Amanda had created. Couple of quick changes to this. We're going to, with his permission, move Mr. Joyce from the school safety up to finance. You have to do the click, one through Amanda.
Was that a predetermined decision or a pre-discussed decision, or you're just suggesting that?
I've spoken to Mr.
Yes.
Joyce about it.
This one came from.
If you click on the, yeah, it should be, I don't know, mine just loaded with names.
It's under the executive one, Stephanie.
Thank you.
But mine, my email one had it too. Okay. So I kinda held off to see what was open, so, I'm okay going on the finance committee too. Is there anybody else that is interested in finance?
I will if somebody's willing to teach me the things that I need to
I
know.
feel like if Chris feels like that's something
Be
he
right
could
there
do.
with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind either.
Okay.
I just didn't wanna sign up for all the committees. Give me
Why
some-
not, you know?
I'm busy.
Well, that's completely up to the two of you, so. Okay, you know what, I'll take my name off of that and we'll vote, Elizabeth and Nancy. I don't know how I just skipped over policy, so policy committee, is basically the same as last year. But Kim has asked to be the liaison that she put on there, and so has Nancy, so we need to have a discussion about how we're gonna handle that.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure why we have a liaison since Mr. Van Orman is going to be the lead person for policy. Since he is going to be the person who's gathering the information, and then, you know, after we meet, those items will be going onto the agenda. Why do we need to have a liaison?
I think that was listed from, was it Wayne? Or there was another district that we pulled that from. It doesn't necessarily have to have one, but, that's kind of the way it got started, so we can change that if we want to. I wasn't part of the policy committee last year, so I don't know, the schematics of how meetings were set and things like that. So I guess that's,
My opinion is that there always had been a liaison for this, or it was labeled as chair or
Yep.
chairperson, right? So this meeting, last year we followed suit with that, and then with Mr. Van Orman's, new role in this committee and his involvement in this committee, he has taken the lead on the pertinent things that require him to gather for these policy reviews. So I would think that, you're right, Nancy, like, what is the point of having someone named as a liaison? I think the only thing that remains is maybe someone to bring the updates to meetings. And would you agree with that, Mr. Van Orman, at this point? What is the purpose of that role, I guess?
Right, I would agree, Miss Allen, with that thinking that, you know, the day-to-day work of the committee, at least the way that it operated last year with our group, was kind of more behind the scenes with my end, pulling the policies together and putting those things in place. I'm willing to do that again. If the board wants me to then update during the committee session, I could do that. You know, about any upcoming work. I think that the concept of a liaison or a chair or a lead in any capacity was to pass along information to the rest of the board and or to the community about the work that was going on.
Meetings.
Yeah, right, I could do that if that was necessary, or if the group wanted to identify somebody, then that could be their role as well.
I think it was established that we are going to have monthly meetings. And then, based on what happens that month and the following month, it will go on to the agenda depending on the timing.
That's correct.
I did kind of like having a point person, almost like we can run things by Kate right now without having to bug the superintendent, so I personally did like kind of having a point person to,
Well, it doesn't mean that you
Coordinate
can't still
meetings
reach
and-
out to committee members.
but I mean, a person that I didn't feel like I had to bug the superintendent to, have somebody coordinate meetings or, put together the emails saying like, this is what we need to look at, this is what you guys need to be prepared for. I think that's a lot of extra stuff to put on the superintendent, but that's just my opinion. I have no skin in this game, I'm not doing it either way.
Nancy, if you would like to be the liaison, that is fine with me.
Okay. I'm still wondering what our purpose would be though, but what we can figure that
Well,
out
the
later.
superintendent offered to sort of take on those couple of tasks, but I would agree with Elizabeth's, point, that maybe those are tasks that don't need to be, that he doesn't need to take on, if one of us can handle those tasks, so. I seem
Okay.
to probably sit in the camp of, it probably makes sense to have one of us update each meeting with an update. And if we're gonna meet before, if we're following the new calendar of meetings, then there shouldn't be too much legwork to schedule meetings, if it's already been established.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be the liaison then.
I can take the advocacy role unless somebody else wants to. Nobody put in for that one. Okay. BOCE's gonna be Chris, next was Nancy. I'm just kind of pushing through these because, only one person signed up. Kim, yours is the one for community center that kind of meets pretty consistently, so would you take on just to find somebody if you couldn't make it? Cause we normally had like a second and a third person to meet, but it would just be on you to find a fill-in if we needed somebody. Elizabeth for PTA, Stephanie squared, if one of you wants to take the lead on this one.
For communications?
I'm on the other side, professional development for one person.
Okay. Well, I did have a question because it says on there one person, so do we need two of us?
That's what I'm saying, would one of you step down?
I'd be happy to do it, but it's not. Well, I'm on two other committees, so I will take myself off of that. Okay.
Okay, so Stephanie Folds on professional development. So what I was saying before about Chris on the school safety, normally, that's the board president that sits on that committee, so, Chris moved up to finance. Wellness committee is gonna be Stephanie Kaiser. The new, group or committee will be Stephanie Folds and Stephanie Kaiser, and honestly, I think as this develops, it's gonna be kind of a group effort to kind of forge the way that we're gonna handle this. And then obviously the audit committee is all of us, so, we'll talk more about what our plan is for those moving forward, at the next meeting. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay, I haven't done this in a year, so are we adjourning and then starting again? Is that how it works? You must have just done one,
You
no,
don't have
will we
to.
just move on? Perfect. Danielle, if you have new paper, we're gonna switch. For all the comments from visitors, I'm just giving you a minute while you get to the right page. Okay, so we'll start the regular meeting at 3:50. Okay. Could I have a motion, please, for the minutes from June 26th? Mrs. Damon and a second by Mrs. Kaiser. There were some corrections on these. As far as I know, they have been corrected. I don't know if there was anything else anybody found. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on. Could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the whole consent agenda, that's the appointments and the CSE, CPSE recommendations.
Thank you. So Danielle, that's gonna be E 1, 2, and 3. Any questions on this group? Discussion? I think we, is this the one that had the numbering that got fixed, or was that the last one?
No, that was in the reorg.
Okay, perfect, then the numbering's great. Any questions? When you're ready.
Mrs. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mrs. Folds?
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman?
Yes.
Mrs. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Madigan?
Yes. Okay, moving on, F1, Mrs. Damon,
I'll make a motion for F 1, 2, 3, 4.
take that motion with a second. Mrs. Folds. Any questions on this group? So the meeting schedule, the last version, no one said anything else about any changes, and Mr. Joyce had an opportunity to take a look at that and see if he had any conflicts prior to us voting on it. When you're ready.
Mrs. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Mrs. Dingman?
Yes.
Mrs. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Folds?
Yes.
Mrs. Madigan?
Yes. Thank you.
Just a quick correction on F4. So that is not for approval, right? So F4 is our district safety plan. We posted that by law for 30 days. We have to post our district safety plan for comment, just like we did with our code of conduct. So that draft will come back to the board on August 7th for approval. Right now, it was just, it was listed under new business as information. So that one really didn't even need a vote, for instance. So if we wanna approve,
Can amend my,
but yeah, amend it to 1 through 3 for a vote, and number 4 just for informational purposes.
Mrs. Folds, would you accept that?
Yes.
Anyone need to change their vote now that we've removed the district safety plan? Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Did you have anything else?
We have our, admin reports. We'll get Amanda Spinelli, who informed us yesterday that her last name is changing because she just got married. So it will not be Amanda Spinelli any longer, but we'll make sure, today was her first day, so we'll get her in, do the updates, like all the rest of the administrators for our next meeting.
You didn't tell her she had to wait until the next school year started, and we'd give her new stuff?
No.
Any questions on the administrative reports?
I have a question, probably kind of silly before, just because my son will be going there next year. Are the safety seats in school buses a new feature? For the little, well, there's photos of the small children, is that a new?
So we have, for the really littles, we have additional seats, if they fit into it, or if they need to be able to be strapped secured, but it's an add-on, it's not necessarily something that they just come with automatically.
We purchased new car seats this year for those 3-year-old UPK students. So previously, if we had a fall birthday, parents provided transportation for pre-K until their birthday.
Right.
This year, we added those car seats in so that we could transport
I'm just wondering if they're gonna duct tape yours on it. So it's actually just that she needs you to buy something new. That's not gonna hold her.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, did you have anything else?
No, nothing at this time.
Okay. All right, I would take a meeting to, or a motion to adjourn. Mrs. Damon, and a second. Mrs. Folds, thank you very much.
I think you're gonna go, yeah.
This is
About how
great.
this
Yeah,
goes.
it's you.
This is fantastic.
Are you giving this to Amanda?
Yep.
Okay.
I think we said it for the first one that they're not normally this
Mhm.
short, and then the next
So
one
far,
is-
it's worked out